Okay, this does show us live. Let me just double check here that everyone can see us and hear us. Even on here, we're just going to give this a quick minute, mainly because we've never done a back-to-back for a network welcome, so it's so exciting. Share. I do see the notification. I've seen a couple of you guys start hopping on to our broadcast. So let's get the show kicked off. And as you all begin to tune in with us, I'd like to welcome you to our second network welcome of the day. Good afternoon, morning, or evening, whenever it is you've chosen to watch this. If you are in real time with us, we want to request out of you to hit the share button so others in your network can see that we're live. You can also comment on this video any good morning pleasantries or any remarks, any questions that may come to your mind as you're hearing from our guests. We love the engagement piece, and we rely on you to carry some of this conversation forward as well. Now, I've already given my spiel about when we do these videos, but for those of you that may not have seen the previous one that I just held, our videos are held every Wednesday. They're an opportunity for you to see some of the faces behind the local businesses in our market, those that have chosen to partner with us. We really want you to know the people that drive the business, because often we choose to seek a business out for the people that we know, like, and trust. And so we want to get to know who they are, what their backgrounds are, and then the unique skill set that they possess, and the reasons why we would want to do business with them. So Wednesdays are reserved for you all to hear about these amazing businesses. You can find the videos, past recorded videos, here on our Facebook or YouTube channel, and digest them to your heart's content. I even recommend you cancel Netflix and watch all of our videos, but that might be a little bit too crazy. So outside of these broadcasts, we also bring to you on a weekly basis updates from our city hall with our mayor, councilors, and other elected officials sporadically throughout the months. This week, we did not have a Monday broadcast because we had candidate forums yesterday, and it's actually very well timed that those forums were yesterday and then this broadcast today, because those candidate forums were for our school districts. So we actually invited all three of our school districts, Adams 12, Jeffco Public Schools, Westminster Public Schools. We had Adams 12 and Jeffco Public School candidates on that broadcast. So if you've not already watched it, take the time to get to know those people that are choosing to seek office that impacts our kiddos and our families and those livelihoods. So last plug-in elections are next week, so November 7th. Make sure that you turn in your ballots. You can find all the forums for city councilors, Prop HH, etc., also on our Facebook and YouTube channel. Long-winded, but we've got a couple of comments, and I just want to pull them up quickly. It's a quick good morning note from our current board chairman, Parker Brown, to our guests from the Mathnasium here in Southwest. And we also have another good morning message from our past chairman as well, Brian Had. I see Travis and Evan and a few others that are on here with us as well. Right? Any hearts, emojis, even the angry face makes us know who's tuned in. So just give us that reaction so we can give you that shout out. So I want to allow you all to share with us in this exciting moment. I want to thank Mathnasium of South Westminster for being on here. Very excited to have you all.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Excited to be here.
And then I would love for them to, we've got three amazing folks that are on here. I'd love for you to get to know who are these people that are on with us. And I'm going to turn it over to Young Gun to introduce himself, and then we'll pass this around for all of our guests.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for having us on. We're super excited to be here. My name is Young Gun Weiss. I've been with the Mathnasium team for about 9 years now. And I'm just super excited to jump in and get integrated within the Westminster community that we have here on board. I started out as an instructor with Mathnasium, and I now operate as one of the directors of our locations there. So I'm very, very excited to be here and be on board and get to meet everyone in the community.
Thank you.
My name's Karen. I am the executive director, and I've been with Mathnasium for 10 years. And so I'm part of a family-run operation, and we've got to enjoy it for up until now on a level where we've my children have come onto the team and taken over where they live in their states, and our expansion's just been really fun. And we're excited to be in Colorado now.
Hi, my name's Libby. I am a UCLA grad, and I am very loyal to the Pac-12. So I had the great fortune to be offered the opportunity to expand our family operations into the great state of Colorado.
Yeah.
Excited to be in Westminster. I had a great love of going to the University of Colorado games in Boulder whenever UCLA was playing out in Boulder. And so I had a great love of this area, the greater Denver area. So as we grew to expand, I graduated college. I'm a second generation franchise owner. So I originally grew it into Arizona to be by the Arizona schools. And now I'm very excited to be in the Denver market because I love this state so much. So I'm very excited.
Absolutely. Well, what I've noticed in all of these introductions is just this love for the brand and how long you all have been plugged into Mathnasium. And so I want folks to know that this is a brand that's been around for decades. It's nationwide. This location that we're speaking to, the South Westminster location, had a grand reopening. Can we speak to when that occurred, so folks that may have seen the brand before in our community realize that there's a difference between then and now?
Yeah, I can take this one. So this storefront has been here for a few years. However, we are an entirely different ownership and operations team. So we're coming in completely fresh. We have our ribbon cutting with the chamber next Saturday at noon. So Saturday, November 11th at noon, we'll be doing a ribbon cutting, and then we'll be having a big party inside of our learning center from 12 until 3. So we hope you guys will be able to join us. It's going to be really great.
And it's open to everybody.
It is open to everyone. It's open to the public. A lot of our neighbors in the Walnut Creek Shopping Center have given us some really great freebies. So the first 50 people to come through our doors, you're going to gain a swag bag. And the swag bag has really awesome freebies from a lot of the local restaurants in the shopping center. We've been operating since, I'd say we opened our doors in August to start bringing back some families. We had initially brought back the families that were impacted by the previous closure. And now we're just growing. We've been doing a lot of outreach with the schools. We just participated in Westie Fest. So it's really fun to get to reestablish this brand. This Saturday, we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary at our first location. So our team's been around for a solid decade now, and we've grown and we've built on that success. And so we're really excited to bring the best practices that we have from the past 10 years and make sure that it's making the most impact in the Westminster community as possible.
Absolutely. And can we go ahead and speak to the brand of Mathnasium? What services do you all offer that you've inherited over these years, maybe kind of enhanced or revised?
Sure. Mathnasium is a math-only learning center. So everything we do is customized around the needs of the student. So students come in and we take a math assessment. We build a profile around them. So what we want to do is identify areas of strength and then areas of opportunity. And then we want to hold that relative to a particular grade level or course they're actually in. So any gaps, we want to prioritize those so that gaps are filled. Math is always built upon itself. So it's very foundational. So if you're built on a weak foundation, future math does not make as much sense. So, and then we've got kids who come for enrichment. There's just kids who love math and maybe they want to be future engineers or something where math is going to really play a role in their future. And it's just something they want to have a strong handle on. Mm-hmm. And then we do homework support, classroom support. So not only do we control, the areas that we can explore for them as far as expansion and enrichment. But, so they're kind of dictators of their own success.
And what has been a big measurement for Mathnasium? So when we look at these kiddos that come in and seek assistance, or maybe, we've seen a decline in even test scores, and we're seeing these remediation that kids even need to have upon graduating from high school and moving into college. Have you been able to kind of measure where they've come in and then kind of when they've left after they've sought your services to see that direct impact?
That is a huge part of what we do. Everything is measured. I look at learning as just kind of an evolution. So where kids track today when we meet them, there's going to be a different tracking 2 months from now. So they'll be learning with us, they'll be learning in school. And the whole idea is to make whatever we put before them, it always has to be relevant. So there's like that remeasurement piece. And then unfortunately, with COVID and everything, well, math has always been a kind of a class where a lot of kids struggle. And once the struggle starts, it's hard to course correct unless some type of intervention steps in, whether it's tutoring or, classroom interventions or whatever. But with COVID and virtual learning, a lot of kids, that gap has really grown. So instead of a 1-year gap, it's a 2-year gap or a 3-year gap. And that's where all the math data is pointing right now, and all the respected systems out there that are looking at it as far as like educational gurus with the measurement. So a lot of like 4th grade is the most impacted grade. They have data on 13-year-olds and how middle school is impacted. So to not measure it is doing them a disservice, because you always want to work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, and I think our regional director, Young Gun, can elaborate on what it looks like for us, because we're math nerds. We quantify everything, but Young Gun can elaborate on that quantification of the math KPI.
Yeah, it really is something where much of the conversation we're having now is there's a lot of emotion and feeling with respect to mathematics and COVID, and there's a lot of blame that really wants to be tossed around by just in a lot of the conversations with parents and students, just to figure out, why did this happen? And on our side of things, it didn't begin with COVID, but that definitely accelerated things. There was this missing of pieces at an earlier stage with many, many students, and a lot of the ability for educators to help those students catch up, or for parents to notice those gaps existed, were lost, especially when everything went so remote. So everything that was moving forward kind of got stopped. So for us, it's very much not about we never look at a student and say, this is a math student and this is a non-math student. For us, every single student can understand math. They can understand the numbers. We just need to find where that student lost their way and help them get caught back up. We're just trying to bridge whatever gaps might exist. So for us, that assessment, really making sure that we're speaking the language that the students understand, is very, very important for us. And right now it's incredibly important, because we're seeing all this data and we're noticing that students are feeling so distressed about, just making sure they feel comfortable in those classes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's such a very great perspective to have, because, you led with, these are things that have already been in place. It's just been exasperated over COVID, and the fact that it has translated in this emotional and mental feelings that these childs are experiencing. I mean, seeking help is so necessary. Young Gun or Libby, I think either of you can really answer this question. When we speak about kids, right, that's a wide age range. You're looking at early childhood, you're looking at all the way into high school. What are we seeing as the primary age group that's seeking that service out of Mathnasium, or where do you see, in addition to that, the opportunity for growth?
Yeah, absolutely. So we serve a variety of kids. So we have our program that's called Great Foundation. So that's for our earliest learners. So that's typically kindergarten or entering kindergarten is eligible for a Great Foundations program. And that's just really trying to set them up for success. So that way math never becomes an issue, and it always is a subject that they love to participate in. And then we take it all the way through 12th grade graduation. I would say the most common grades, or the most common sticking points, would be, for me, I see a lot of 4th grade curriculum. So that's when kids, if you don't know your times tables in the 3rd grade, 4th grade becomes nearly impossible, because you need to know your times tables, you need to know your multiples and factors, you need to know your fractions, you need to know your decimals. You start to be introduced to the order of operations, also known as PEMDAS. So there's so many skills that are newly introduced in the 4th grade. And if you don't master them quickly, then it becomes a real struggle come middle school. And whenever you're in middle school, typically you're diversifying onto which math track your school's going to put you into. So you're going to be in the accelerated class, and you're going to be taking pre-algebra and algebra at an earlier age than your peers. Or you're going to be put on a remediation track, and it's really hard to get your kid off that remediation track once it's set. Also, a really common grade or math course that we see kids is typically the algebras. So whether you're taking Algebra 1 or Algebra 2, it's very common that we see students at that stage in math. And it's not because that's the stage that it first became hard. It's that it's become hard enough and it's impacted the grade and the GPA. And we're kind of catching it a little late in the game, but now it's become more of an emergency. So that's not to say that the other grades don't have critical skills and things that should trigger the need for tutoring. It just becomes a lot more pressing to most families whenever GPAs are involved. There's also a lot of trickiness to how a grade book is structured, especially post-pandemic. There's plenty of padding that can go into your student's math grade, whether it's participation in class, if it's completion of homework. And whenever you're completing homework, a lot of the times it can be open note in nature. If they're allowed to reattempt assignments, so maybe they didn't do so great the first or second time around on a test or a quiz, but if their teacher allows them to reattempt those assignments, either take the quiz home, work out the corrections, resubmit it for partial credit, it really does pad that grade book. And typically families won't notice that there is an emergent need to get tutoring or additional supplemental support in math until it's almost too late and the hole's too deep.
Yeah, no, that's so well said, because you're spot on with that. It's foundational. And that's why you're targeting all of these age groups, right? With the hopes of, if we set them on the right path, right, we can continue to nurture them into math as they move from one grade level to the next, as opposed to seeking out the help when it's already here's a foundation that they've tried to struggle through or learn through, but they haven't really quite grasped it, right? And it really starts showing when you get into all those more specialized math courses that you have.
Yeah, and I would say that that's the great thing about Mathnasium as a learning center. I think there's a bit of like vocabulary and definition to what a learning center is. So we take a two-part approach to how we tutor students. So we have what we call the Mathnasium hour. Our sessions are 1 hour in length twice a week for our students. So we spend half the time addressing that core foundation, because so long as the foundation's not being addressed, it's going to continue to make a bigger issue. It's like building a house on sand. It's not a great thing to do.
Yeah.
And then we want to spend half the time. So we want to spend 30 minutes addressing what's needed for school and to see that immediate change in the grade book, because that's what the kids and the parents and the teacher want to see, is the change to the grade. But what traditional tutoring can't offer, if you were to like be comparing your potential tutoring programs, traditional tutoring doesn't have the resources to do the diagnostic assessment that Mathnasium does for each child, really evaluate how far back do we need to go, how far back do we need to address a foundational gap to their math knowledge. And then we provide that supplemental curriculum to be able to fill it in, because class has moved on. If you're in the 6th grade, you're learning 6th grade skills, but maybe your child as an individual still needs those 4th grade skills to be repracticed and mastered and retained. And that's where Mathnasium comes in, is that we identify that gap, we provide that curriculum, and we allow your child to move on at an appropriate pace.
So when we talk about those learning hours, we've even talked about like having assistance around homework support and the more direct classroom support. What does that look like for a parent with a child? Do they have to be present during the tutoring sessions? Are you seeing parents that are able to drop their kids off and maybe continue on with kind of running their errands or going through the evening and then picking them back up? Or how does that function into your hours that you're open, and the ability for a parent to kind of fit that into their schedule?
Go ahead, Young Gun.
It should make it, the experience of being at Mathnasium should be a very, very easy one when it comes to being a parent. For us, what happens is it's very much a gym for math. The students are going to come on in, they're going to sign into the program, they're going to grab their binder. All of their material is completely tailored specifically to their needs. And they come in for that full hour to work with our instructors. And during that hour, the parents go run errands, go get groceries, go do whatever you need to do. As soon as your student's done with that hour, they're going to just wait up front, wait for you to come pick them up. And we don't send any homework back with them. They already have busy schedules. We want to make sure that this is just a very dedicated hour of time where we can help them on specific needs that they need to address. So for the parent, it should be a very stress-free experience. We always want parents to come in and check in with us. We want them to take a look at their students' work just to see, hey, how are things going? The more information you have, the better the conversation goes, just to know, hey, this is the kind of progress we're seeing. This is the kind of timeline that we're looking at with your student. And we want to make sure that each session is a valuable session. We want to make sure the student wants to be there, and this is a good experience for them.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, it's convenient for families because they'll bring multiple children at once, because since our program is so individualized, you could have the child that's struggling in math, and you could also have the child that's advanced and already loves math. But since Mathnasium's tailored to the individual child, we get a lot of multi-student enrollments from families because they're able to take advantage of the program for their child, no matter how different their kids may be. I know my brother and I, polar opposites when it came to the education spectrum. In addition, we know that there's plenty of families that have busy schedules or working parents where maybe the transportation piece of getting to the Learning Center might be a challenge for family schedules. We also offer an online version of our one-on-one instruction and customized curriculum through a program called Mathnasium at Home. So as long as your child has internet access, we are able to provide them that same great experience.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And it makes sense, right? So often you see families that have that closer age range with their kids. It makes sense to drop them off and kind of continue forward with what they have, and the convenience factor is so huge. You shared about, there was a comment that you made around enrollment, right? And you can speak to this, or any of our other guests that are on here. When we talk about enrollment, is it a standard enrollment fee that people are paying? Is it a per pupil fee? Is it based on the course curriculum, or how does enrollment work, or basically doing business or seeking the services through Mathnasium?
So once our families come in, the first thing we always do for every single student is just, let's talk about where we need to address their math skills. We always want to assess the students so that we have the full picture of, these are the things we need to address. This is why things have been going the way they've been going, and we want to make sure that we have a plan of attack in terms of getting you fully caught up. For us, like I was saying before about the program being very similar to a gym for mathematics, depending on when the students want to come in and for how long they want to be there, we have a few different programs in terms of just length of their enrollments. So the process for a parent is coming in for that assessment, so we can talk about where we need to go with your student, and then choosing the program that fits best in terms of length. It is a monthly program, so most of our families will be with us for 12 to 18 months. And in terms of cost, it's just on each of those months, they're getting access to all of those sessions to bring their students in. For us, it's very important that attendance is the number one factor. So we really emphasize that two sessions per week, that 3 sessions per week, really to make sure your students are coming in on a really, really consistent basis. And we want to see them month after month after month to make sure that they're making that consistent progress.
If we were to use the data from our Learning Center that is celebrating their decade in business this weekend, woo, goes fast. If we were to use data from that Learning Center, I would say 2/3 of our enrollments typically stick around for more than a year. And that's not necessarily because the child is in need of tutoring for more than a year, but honestly, we kind of become just a fixture to the schedule, and students are really happy. And honestly, having children value education, enjoy learning, have a positive relationship to just academia in general, that's something that a lot of parents take pride in. And since we get to be a real integral piece of students enjoying learning, typically families stick around longer than they may initially think that they need to, just because they're happy here.
And the needs change. Some families will begin because math was a struggle and they want to get their child back on a strong path. And then what ends up happening is they get caught up, and then now they start to enjoy math. So something they feared or they became frustrated by now is something that they actually start to enjoy and appreciate. And then they start to honestly end up on an enrichment path. And then now all of a sudden, I'm a math person, I'm really good at math. And that's my superpower is math class. And I'm the first kid that has my hand up every time. Yeah. And that's sort of the fun part too, is when you watch that transition go and you kind of recall somebody when they first started and where they are today, and just their personal growth along the way.
It's funny how many of our students at our more tenured learning centers become our instructors by the time they're older. We have 5 kids at that decade-long center right now. 5 previous students have grown to love Mathnasium and what we do so much that they're now our employees, and they're going off to local colleges, but they're continuing to work at that local Mathnasium because they knew what it did for them when they were in 3rd and 4th grade. And so they want to share that experience with the next crop of kids.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's such a testament to not only the fact that you've created an environment that they can succeed in the classroom, but you've created an environment that they wanted to give back and contribute to. Like they've actually enjoyed that process all along the way and not just shown up for the grade portion out of it. There's a couple questions I'm going to try and fit in quickly because believe it or not, we're getting so close to the 30-minute mark. The first is, and last thing on enrollment, you guys have a grand reopening enrollment promo that's going on. Do we want to share that with the group?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called our Founders Rate. So it's part of our grand reopening special. So we are offering a free month of Mathnasium services with your enrollment. So we have different enrollment options. Regardless of which one you select, they are all eligible to receive a free month of Mathnasium services. So it makes it a little easier to join us right off the bat.
And the first month is the free month. So it's just a good opportunity to kind of ease into it and become comfortable with the program.
Yeah, and test it out. Hi, Donna. I see your thumbs up. Thank you quickly for that. I see Evan, Mohammed, all of you guys that are tuned in with us. And then the final question that I wanted to ask your way is, and this is more of, your selling point, right? There's other tutors that are around the area, some that are affiliated with other brands, some that are just independent. Why Mathnasium over going to someone else? What would be that unique factor?
That's a fantastic question. We get asked that question a lot. And for us, it's a variety of different factors. We really want to emphasize that all of the material and all of the work that we're going to do with your student is individualized to your student. It has to be something that your student has shown us, I need some help with this. I need to work on this. And we want to make sure that the things that we're addressing are those skills. I also want to make sure that when your student is working with us, all of your questions are getting answered. And if there's something you don't understand, it's getting fixed and corrected right in front of you. So I'm not just sending material back with you for you to work on and then correct later and then maybe have to fix some mistakes. If you are making mistakes, if there is something you don't understand, let's figure it out now. Let's figure it out together. And then the biggest piece is we have so much curriculum to give to students. We don't have to try to, pull something out of our bag to say, oh, we're going to work on math today. We want to make sure that we're addressing your students' skills at the area that they need to be addressed at.
It's a very logical approach to how to help students because at the end of the day, like our diagnostic is what's able to really identify what is the needs of this child. And we're very organized in our approach because the assessment generates a learning plan, which is basically a syllabus of curriculum that your child needs. And once we finish that syllabi, we're able to reassess and see what's next for your child. There's very clear communication. I think that's a real benefit of Mathnasium as opposed to maybe a private tutoring route, is that we have progress reporting systems. We have a much more organized fashion with which we communicate to you and really quantify what children are accomplishing during their hours in Mathnasium. So you're not losing sight of what your child's gaining by attending our facility because it's also well documented and then communicated back to you as the parent, where you know that you're getting your money's worth out of our services.
We also come from a point of success. So our launching point is always the last thing a student really was great at so that they can see the connection to the material they're unfamiliar with. So that way they can start off from a point of success and then see those transitions that they may not have recognized if they saw the material a year ago or something.
And something that we haven't really mentioned at all today because we've really focused on like what do the adults care about, but what the kids care about is the fun factor of our facility. We always say that math is fun and we find interesting ways to really get the kids engaged in our learning center. So whether that's doing different contests in the facility, we have a really awesome reward system. So as students finish pages, they get stamps on a stamp card. Ooh. And those stamp cards are redeemable for prizes in our reward cabinet. So that could be fun things like gift cards to like Starbucks or a restaurant that your student's interested in. It could be like the Squishmallows that are really popular. Fidget toys used to be really cool. But there's like a whole slew of awesome things that are important to kids because this is like when you do work, you want to be rewarded for that. And the reward is the students gaining knowledge and becoming better at math. But more importantly, especially for the kids that are really beat down by education and just they're not feeling it, and this doesn't sound like fun, and they don't want to do this as the initial activity, as the after school activity when they're initially enrolled. Having that fun factor and allowing them to gain rewards by working hard in Mathnasium, the kids aren't fighting you in the car. I think that's a huge difference. Us and some other options that people might be considering is that kids get in the car and they're like, cool, like I'm going to go to Mathnasium. It's going to be cool. I'm going to see an instructor I like. I'm going to earn some prizes and I'm going to be happy, and I'm not fighting my parents, and I'm not asking, when do I have to stop?
And I don't have to feel yucky in the classroom anymore and stress. Like, you're going to call on me, you know,
like, let me look down and avoid the eye contact. You know, I think to the point that you made when you talk about the rewards, I can think back about, you know, getting little cash monies in the classroom and using it towards sodas or candy. And it makes a difference, and it resonates and it stands out, this positive reinforcement for the effort that they've put into it. We've included in the chat ways that people can find you. Facebook page we have for folks that are interested. We've even included your direct phone number so that they can jump on a call and make that free assessment appointment as they need to, and the address for you where you're located out at the Walnut Creek location, South Mathnasium here in Westminster at the Walnut Creek Shopping Center. The other comment that I, of course, wanted to make was your hours are pretty darn flexible for people that are interested. They'll find all of those details on your website, along with the various learning plans that we went over quickly. So all the age groups that you have curriculum for, that you've supported and you've seen success along the way. Believe it or not, we're at the 30-minute mark. So I want to encourage people that are tuned in now or later, come out to the grand reopening of the location. It's going to be on the 11th. They're going to give out prizes to the first 50 people that come, but past that, come and enjoy their space, see what they're all about, and ask them direct questions in person. I've thoroughly enjoyed visiting with all three of you. I am revved up about math. You know, I'm like, you know, which child can I take myself over there? But I love the work you're doing. You're shaping the future of tomorrow, and I truly have enjoyed getting to know each and every one of you. And I hope the group that's chimed in, that's viewed this, and we've had a lot of people that have come on, have left, some that have given us hearts and reactions that truly see the value in the work that you're doing. Just big kudos to you. Stay with me as we exit out.
Thank you.
Thank you.